And speak live to Tino Callaghan from the Celtic Exchange podcast. Good morning to you, Tino. Now, you've been champions 13 of the last 14 seasons. How concerned are you that record is under threat this season?
It's very concerning, Tom. Morning to yourself and Charlie. It's actually a pattern that's emerged at Celtic. There's been signs that this was maybe on the horizon. But to lose at Dens Park yesterday, the first time Celtic have lost there in 37 years, to leave us 5 points behind Hearts, it's a genuine concern now at the top of the table.
But before we get into the game too much, there was a fan protest at the start against the members of the board. Just remind us why that protest was taking place, and are you concerned that it's starting to affect the players?
Yeah, so the protest came about due to ongoing concerns that the fans have got about how the club is being run, even just in terms of focusing on football stuff at this moment in time. It's a lack of preparation for huge games in the shape of Champions League qualifiers. As most will know, we fell to a team, Kairat Almaty from Kazakhstan. With all due respect to them, Celtic should never be losing to a team from Kazakhstan. And the frustration is, the game took place before the end of the transfer window. We then signed 3 players after going out to Kairat Almaty. So there's such frustration there that we're not doing business in a timely fashion. And yeah, that's amongst the biggest frustrations. And is it affecting players? I think there's no way that it can't not affect the players. They're well aware. They're online. They know the disgruntlement between fans and the club at this moment in time. And yeah, they see everything that we're seeing at this moment in time.
Tino, on that, because I watched the game yesterday, and on that, like you say, it can affect the players. I totally understand that it can, because when you've got such a dominance of fan base of supporting you home and away, that it gets right behind you, and they can but they can affect it by performing on the pitch that almost squashes that or pushes it to one side and takes your mind off it as fans to be like, right, we're up for 90 minutes, we are back in this team. And it's not saying the fans are not back in this team at all, but that's where it can go and completely change the narrative for that time being. I totally understand that. My alarming bit is, and just going on to what Brendan Rodgers said in his post-match interview about the attacking play, I watched the game, and after about 35, 36 minutes, the commentator said on there, Simon Murray up front for Dundee and Kelechi Iheanacho up front for Celtic had touched the ball 5 times in 30. And for me, I understood for Simon Murray for the Dundee because they'd scored and they'd sat behind the goal. But the Iheanacho one was an alarming one for me.
Yeah, I think it's an ongoing frustration, Charlie, in terms of the on-field stuff, at how Brendan Rodgers seems to be doing things at this moment in time. He's known historically for his free-flowing attack in football, and we've certainly seen that absolutely in his first season, his first spell, at Celtic, and at times over the last 2 seasons. But it seems to have slowly but surely removed itself from Brendan Rodgers' game plan, and we play this very pedestrian, slow, turgid, side-to-side football between midfielders. Our centre-halves get so much of the ball, and it leaves guys like Iheanacho and Kyogo before him actually seeing very little of it. They're trying to pick up scraps, and as a striker, you yourself would know how frustrating that can be.
After the game, you'll know what Chris Sutton, a former striker himself, said. He labelled your squad as average, and Brendan Rodgers also appeared to question the quality of the players as well. Are they right?
It's certainly not as strong a squad as it should be, and as it has been historically. We've talked about Kelechi Iheanacho. At this moment in time, he's our only genuine recognised number 9. We do have Dyson Maeda in reserve, but he's injured at this moment in time. He's a left winger to trade. And there are some other backup options in the shape of Johnny Kenny, and even further back, a Japanese player called Shin Yamada, who just aren't good enough at this moment in time and maybe never will be. So there's such a lack of depth throughout the team. That's just the centre-forward position. We've got real issues at right wing. You could argue at centre-half as well. You could go through the whole setup, to be honest.
Tino, on that, and going on to Brendan Rodgers, you see how he spoke after the game. You said in his first spell, the way the team played, and now you're seeing it. Do you see a difference in himself and how he's coming across to the Celtic player and the Celtic fans, or are you seeing the same similarities?
I'm not sure. He's always had a lot of self-belief, Brendan Rodgers. There's no doubt about that, and he absolutely backs himself. But there are these ongoing issues behind the scenes, and it seems to be fairly clear that there is some sort of disconnect between him and the people that run the club, the board and some other members there. And that can't not affect him as well. He's putting up a good front, but I think there are issues behind the scenes, and I suppose that's what seems to be playing out right now.
But on that's what I think, when we talk about the players and the fans and the protest, that's more of an issue for the players how the manager's acting than what it actually is for the fans. Because you're there to support the team, I get that, but ultimately he's the boss of the football club. And if his demeanour is low and he's because of off-the-field stuff, that's going to be more of a knock-on effect for me to the players than what the fans will be.
Yeah, there's a whole motivation question there, Charlie. So at the top of the tree at the club, it's up to the powers that be to support the manager in terms of transfer work and to motivate him. And then he in turn has a job to motivate the players. And if the work at the top doesn't filter down through the manager, then he himself is maybe struggling to get going. And it's not to offer a complete defence of Brendan Rodgers. He has failed, but generally speaking, he's a guy that has support. But he's kind of running out of time a wee bit because these poor results have started to seep in. And as I mentioned yesterday when we done a post-match, it's not a massive surprise that Celtic aren't performing at this moment in time.
I know that Chris Boyd is a Rangers legend, but he did question Rodgers' attitude and commitment at full time. Rodgers has left Celtic once before. Can you see him do it again if another opportunity comes available elsewhere? No,
I don't think he will leave. He may be asked to leave by the club, that's a different thing, but he has been very firm on the fact that, following the first time around where he left February of 2019, I think it was, to go to Leicester mid-season, he has been adamant. I think he's quoted as saying he 200% will be here until the end of this season unless the club decide otherwise. So I think he will stay. But how long can this status quo remain? Because if the results don't improve, then as I say, he may be asked to leave rather than make the decision himself.
Well, he definitely wouldn't want to end the season without being champions. And of course, it is Hearts who are top of the league, and you face them on Sunday. Do you think, even though it's this stage, do you think it's even must win for Celtic?
Oh, it's the cliched must not lose. It's definitely that. We were in a position where had we beat Dundee yesterday, which we should have, Celtic, with all respect, should always be beating Dundee, we would have had a chance to go to Tynecastle on Sunday with a view to going a point clear of Hearts with a win. We're now facing the prospect of going 8 points behind Hearts if they get the win. So, we certainly can't lose that one. And, I've commented there on the depth or the lack of depth in the squad. Celtic should still be good enough to go to Tynecastle and win, but on form, it's not looking like that just now.
And finally, when you were on a few weeks ago and you were talking about how a planned protest had been cancelled, you were wanting more dialogue with the board, some positive dialogue with the board about various things. Is it still the case that even though there has been some dialogue, it's not enough and it hasn't satisfied you?
Yeah, it is still the case. There was a meeting 2 weeks ago today. It was the 6th of October, Monday 6th of October. And the various fan representatives that went along to that meeting left very disappointed at the outcome. And that's what's led to a return to the protests that we've seen yesterday at Dens Park.
Can you see that changing? Can you see the board changing their mind and saying, right, we are going to give the fans what they want? Or does it feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall now?
I mean, it's certainly frustrating, but something has to change, Tom. Just the way Celtic are working right now isn't working. There needs to be some sort of, admissions by the club itself. My real hope is that the club and the fan groups can start to work hand in hand, but that feels like a long way away just now. It is encouraging that dialogue was opened, as I say, 2 weeks ago, but there needs to be more of that and more action taken. I said this before, talk is cheap and it's all about your actions, and I really hope the club start to take actions to somehow try and resolve this ongoing issue.
Yeah, I hope for your sake and the Celtic fans' sake it changes. Tino, great to speak to you. Thank you.
Thanks to you both.